Returning now to our main story. The global shortage of neuropozyne is making life difficult for augmented people everywhere. Pharmaceutical giant VersaLife, sole manufacturer of the anti-rejection drug, has suffered multiple setbacks in recent months, slowing the company's ability to meet demand.
Anna, what's wrong? You're unsteady.
I'm fine. As good as can be expected.
Are you skipping your meds?
Square Enix is the corporate equivalent of a person with a self-mutilating disorder. No longer content to stand by and watch the Final Fantasy franchise drag its crippled carcass to store shelves, where it can be purchased by fans who are blind to how far downhill it has descended, Square Enix has set its sights on humiliating the Deus Ex franchise. Taking its subtitle quite literally, The Fall was originally brought to mobile devices, where it was greeted with mixed reactions. Now, as if condemning the franchise to commit harakiri, the decision was made to release a quick and dirty port of The Fall on Steam, plunging a wakizashi deep into the semiconductor-filled belly of the franchise and slowly dragging the blade across its abdomen, without the dignity of providing a second. Deus Ex is an unusually complex title to adapt to primitive phones and tablets without completely changing the gameplay, making it hard to fault Eidos Montreal and Infusion Interactive for a lack of ambition. Dialogue trees, a wide array of augmentations, a large arsenal of weapons, branching paths, and side quests are all present. The problem is that many of these have been compromised in some way, and many would find these compromises forgivable on a mobile device, but with the PC port of The Fall, the sliced corners are exacerbated. While Human Revolution offered a number of cleverly concealed paths to traverse in its often sizable levels, The Fall has to operate on a more modest scale, and as a result, level design is rather bland with the exception of a late-game hotel mission that challenges players to make it to a penthouse suite. Many of the more covert paths lie in plain sight, since the ability to jump has been removed. Oftentimes, bypassing the entryway to the next area will give players a vent or a tunnel to crawl through, allowing them to breeze past enemies. Not that taking them on is overly difficult. While the future setting of Deus Ex portrays humans augmenting themselves with robotic attachments like some sort of Kurzweilian wet dream, it seems that your adversaries could not be bothered to enhance their mental condition beyond mouth breather status. Giving your adversaries the slip is as easy as finding a crawl space to sit in, and upon returning to an area after things have settled, it's not out of the ordinary to see your former pursuers walking into walls. If being stupid wasn't enough, your foes are also severely myopic, meaning that using a takedown on an enemy while one of his allies faces the action from 30 feet away is not likely to raise an alarm. Further crippling the experience, The Fall allows players to make purchases anywhere, anytime, so in the middle of a mission it's easy to pause and purchase additional ammunition and health items. A large arsenal of weapons is also available for purchase, consisting of crossbows, shotguns, pistols, assault rifles, plasma rifles, RPGs, and grenades. Silencers, armor-piercing rounds, and other attachments can also be purchased, as well as upgrades for damage and ammo capacity. Praxis points can be purchased in order to upgrade your augmentations. The list of augs is equally impressive, and most of the abilities from Human Revolution are present. While this is all impressive, it's entirely unnecessary since the game never conjures a scenario that would require juggling such a vast arsenal. The Fall's narrative benefits from Deus Ex's rich cyberpunk world as you take control of Ben Saxon, a former member of a Black Ops group known as the Tyrants, who is taking refuge in a safe house in Costa Rica with Anna Kelso. Since both have augmentations, they require neuropozyne, a drug designed to combat their body's inclination to reject their artificial upgrades, and it just so happens there's a shortage of the drug. Saxon's quest to find a supply of neuropozyne leads him to discover the existence of a competing drug and a malicious corporate conspiracy to quickly and cheaply test it. Just as the intrigue builds, and it seems like the plot might redeem a few of the game's shortcomings, a to-be-continued screen materializes. The Fall was planned to release in episodes, though Square Enix has failed to provide any information on a follow-up. Embracing Human Revolution's golden glow and featuring the same visual motifs, The Fall looks like a proper Deus Ex game at a quick glance. But this port has not received any visual upgrades from the cell phone version aside from anti-aliasing and higher resolution textures. The end result is appalling. It would appear that the citizens of Panama have been exposed to Agent Orange, since NPCs appear deformed as a result of extremely low poly count and textures that consist of simple diffuse maps with very little, if any, detail.
I need your help, please.
What's the problem?
My boyfriend Luis, he's been missing for weeks. He started working for the Skulls about a month ago, and now he's gone.
Oddly enough, Saxon's model looks passable with a higher poly count and more thoughtful texturing. It's just a shame that the game is played from a first-person perspective, so players will rarely see it. Environments themselves also suffer from objects with simple, color-diffused maps and a tremendous amount of repetition. Much of this is to be expected given the game's mobile origins, but a small amount of work would have gone a long way toward making this port acceptable. In addition to the lazy visual upgrade, the Fall doesn't feature remappable keys, the mouse control feels slippery and imprecise, and recoil when firing a weapon is represented by an absurd zooming effect. The Fall has quick buck written all over it. It's difficult to fathom why Square Enix thought the complexities of the Deus Ex franchise would translate well to mobile devices, and it's even more baffling why they thought it'd be a good idea to port a compromised product back over to the platform that made the franchise what it is in the first place. What is tolerable on a phone or tablet becomes unbearable and embarrassing on a PC, and by not making a few tweaks to the visuals and foregoing features like remappable keys, Eidos Montreal and Infusion have earned the ire of fans. The Fall's few strong points are crushed by brutal counterpoints. Its impressive arsenal and upgrades are rendered useless by a horrendous AI, and its intriguing narrative ends with a cliffhanger with no follow-up in sight. These wounds are just too large for a few augments to mend.